Welcome to this episode, episode 20. It was a really strange week this week, actually the last 2 weeks. Because of an injury, I wasn't able to post my episodes. The last episode should have been 2 weeks ago, but I couldn't post anything. Computer work was out of the question. And it was really hard because I had a question from a viewer that asked me to address an option in Illustrator. So I wanted to post it anyway before the summer, and today is the day that I will post it. I made the video in 2 parts this time because of the length. On IGTV you have only 10 minutes. Normally that's not really a problem, but with this question about image trace, it was really hard to get it done in 10 minutes. So I made a 2-part video for you, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's dive in. Step 1. Step 1 is making a picture of your drawing. There are 2 things you have to keep in mind. The first thing is shadow. If you have shadows from your hand, from your body, or from anything else in your area, then you get this dark places on your paper. I hope you can see it here from my hand. And if you have that on or beneath your image, it's much harder to scan it, to image trace it in Illustrator. With a black and white image like this one, it's not really a problem because the gray will probably be white, so it won't be a big problem. But if you have a colored image, it makes it really hard to get the colors like you want them, because the gray, the shadow part, will be darker. Illustrator will make those colors like he is seeing them, so with the shadow on it. So keep in mind, if you have a colored page or you have a grayscale, that shadow influences your outcome. The second thing is, and I can show it a little, my iPad is reflecting, so it's a little bit harder for you to see, I think. But if I keep my iPad like this, I think you can't see it if I do it like that. So I didn't do this before, so I have it in an angle now, and maybe you can see that it's a little bit distorted. The flower is not exactly like it is on the paper. So if you make a picture, keep in mind that whatever you use, your phone, a camera or your iPad, keep it straight up from above. And keep an eye on your shadows. So make a picture, make a picture and then open your photo. I think you can't really see it really well because of the reflection, but over here I have some shadows. And of course I did this a few times before I videotaped it, so I know if I go this way and I stay on this side, sorry, my tripod is in the way, like this, and I make my photo again, it's much better and I have less shadows. I see a little bit of shadow now, so I do it again. And then if I look at my photo, I'm not sure if you can see it because of the reflection. It's a little bit harder for you to see on the camera. Maybe like this. That I have just a little shadow here, but it's almost white. I will show you on the computer 4 examples that are other pictures than these are. But I will show you the difference when you have shadow and you don't have any shadow. So, thank you, and I see you in step 2. Okay, step 2 is import your image in Illustrator. First, what I'm going to do is check my images and pick the one that's the best. I will show you how I do that. I have to bring up the pictures, just a second. Because it's so narrow, I had to figure out how to show it to you in a good way. Okay, this is the first one, and you can see, although I tried not to have shadow, it's not always possible to eliminate it completely. Over here you see a little bit of shadow on the paper, Now, it's not really bad, this is good to work with, but I'm always trying to get the best picture, so my work in Illustrator is easier. This one is a little better, I think, but still I have some shadows here. Here the same, it's a little bit brighter, but still shadows on the right. And I think when I turned my iPad to make the picture in another position, that I eliminated most of the shadows and it's completely solid white. So I think I will work with this one because I have not so much distraction, shadows that can make my work harder. In this case, because I used black and white, it's not really a problem if you have some shadows. But if you are working with a color image and you have shadows, it's much harder to get a good realistic image trace. And it will also make the colors on the side where there is shadow darker, so that shadow will always be visible in your work. That is something to remember when you're making the picture, that be aware that when you have shadows in your picture, especially with color, then that shadow will be converted to a darker color in Illustrator. Okay, but first I chose my picture, so I will get it out of the way for now and import it. I can just pick it up from my program or my desktop or whatever, my Finder or Explorer if you are on Windows, and just pull it in. And there you see it is. Or you can go to File, Place, and then pick the image from your Finder or Explorer. First, I'm going to crop the image, so we'll get rid of all the excess mess here, down here, and on the right we don't need. So I can put it better in my view and only have white and black. I go to Object. Normally I have a bar here where it gives me all those shortcut buttons, but because my screen is so narrow for the video, I won't see much of those buttons. So go to Object, Crop Image. So if you have a larger screen, that button crop image will be in your bar. Now you see I have 4 corners. I can drag them and it won't resize it, but it will crop my image. So I will only be left with what is in the rectangle. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm also targeting this little flower, but I will show you that in step 3. So then you push enter to accept, and there it is. And you can see in the background that white is never completely white. You always have some kind of shadows because it looks almost blue-gray, but because it's more flat, the color, it's easier. So this is how you import your image in Illustrator. Now we go to step 3 and do the image trace.